Welcome to IDERA Virtual Education for SQL Diagnostic Manager. Today I'm going to show you how to add a custom SQL script to measure SQL Server uptime. First, we're going to jump over here to Management Studio where I have the script laid out. This is basically running a select date diff against the service runtime for tempDB. When you execute it, it displays the number of minutes that tempDB has been online. So the thing is with Diagnostic Manager, if you plan to add a SQL script as a custom counter, there is a caveat to using that feature, and that is that it must return a single numeric value. As a matter of fact, when we go to administration and add the custom counter, that is one of the things that pops up here, is that it must return a single numeric value. And that's because we need to be able to assign a threshold to whatever custom script we add. So a single numeric value keeps the reliability around that particular feature. So I have this script here that's measuring the uptime of tempDB basically. So I'm going to copy that out, and then I can go over and plug that right in to a script spot here on the SQL script custom counter. Now I've already added this script as a custom counter, so behind the screen here you'll see in my list of custom counters there is the SQL Server uptime. So I'll just walk through the wizard here, and on the next screen we have the option to use collected value each time, or the per second value since last collection. I'm going to capture the actual value each time so that I can see that accumulate and go up over time. There's also some additional scaling options if we were dealing with decimals, for example, but I'm going to keep with the scaling of 1 and not mess with that. You can also run a test if you want to, just to make sure that the results are coming back the way you expect, and sure enough, it's coming back with a single numeric value as I expect. Next, we can give it a friendly name and categorize the custom counter. I've already performed that operation, so it's grayed out in this case. I've already added the custom counter, so moving right along. We have the ability now to define whether lower values are worse than higher values, or vice versa, higher values are worse than lower values. Obviously, when we're talking about SQL Server service uptime, lower is going to be worse than higher values. If we see it drops off to 0, that's going to be something that's considered critical. So that's why I've selected lower values are worse than higher values and defined thresholds of 1 for critical, 5 for warning, and 7 for informational, and that's in minutes. So next we have the final screen. We select finish and deploy that custom counter. It can also be linked to different instances that we want to measure the uptime. Once the counter is in place, then over time you may want to add that custom counter to a chart or a custom report for that matter. So to do that, we'll go back over to the instance, and on the dashboard we can customize the dashboard and drag a custom counter out to any of the chart windows. So I've grabbed the custom counter chart panel and I'm dropping it on the screen here. Then I'm going to hit the little drop down and remove the current custom counter, and instead we'll put in SQL Server uptime. And then we can close the designer. It'll prompt and ask you, do you want to save this as a per minute change to the dashboard? I don't want to in this case, but you could save it if you want to. And now you're able to see the current server uptime. And like I said, this should be going up constantly over time. So the next thing is the report. Maybe I want to build a report to show the uptime over the last 7 days. Well, I can go to the reporting section, and under the custom report feature, we have the ability to create new custom reports, which allows us to add any of our custom counters, as well as any of the out-of-the-box metrics, up to 10 different metrics to a single custom report. I've already created an uptime report, but if I wanted to, I could go ahead and edit that and add additional metrics. Here's a list, like I said, of all the custom counters, all the operating system metrics, SQL Server counters, virtual machine counters. And in this case, I've selected custom counters and plugged in here on the right-hand side a single custom counter, being the SQL Server uptime that I have added. On the next screen, if we added more than one metric to be reported against, we can move up the list on the report different metrics that are higher priority than others to be displayed. And it's as simple as that. Then in the background we have the uptime report. We can select the instance that we want to view the uptime for, choose the date range. I'll look at the last 7 days in this case. You can go with hourly or daily sampling, and then we run the report and we can see the details of how long the SQL instance has been up and running each day for the last 7 days. This report can also be exported to Excel or PDF, or you can print from the console to share this with other audiences. So that shows you how to add a SQL Server uptime custom counter, and then to apply it to a chart and a report. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And other than that, I hope this is useful to you and you have a nice day.